afternoon, everyone. My name is Ruben Patterson. I am the Dean of the College of Arts and Sciences, and I want to thank all of you for coming out today for this momentous event. And this is a momentous event because, after all, it's not every day that a university elects to establish a new department, a new academic department. Such a decision is taken when there is, when the focus of the department aligns with the strategic priorities of the university, where it aligns with student interest. There's an alignment with career opportunities for graduates. There's an alignment with a lot of research that's taking place by the faculty, and also where there's a clear societal need for the knowledge that will come out of the department. So the proposal for the new Department of Earth, Environment, and Equity was evaluated by the Office of the Provost. And fortunately, his office was able to make the recommendation to President Frederick and to the Board of Trustees that we should move forward with the establishment of the new department. And it should not be lost on anyone that this is a huge investment on the part of the university to do its part, among other things, in trying to shape what could be the biggest story of the 21st century, and that is the race between climate change versus humanity's achievement of, a global scale system of sustainable production and consumption, as well as an overall way of life. Okay, those of us who are students of this field, it can be a little bit stressful because you spend so much time contemplating how climate change can ravage the planet and all of its living inhabitants, as well as spend a lot of time thinking about toxins and environmental degradation and their threats to the most vulnerable communities. But, the thing that gives me a lot of hope is having an awareness of the ongoing and rapid-paced research that's been, being prosecuted by very brilliant and energetic environmental and climate scholars who are informing public policymakers and the general public around more effective mitigation and adaptation strategies. And you will hear from one of those scientists in just a moment. But the thing that buoys me the most, I think, is thinking about Gen Z, the sustainability generation, who has climate issues uppermost in mind, and it just really thrills me in helping to build an environmental studies and environmental science department with that kind of focus to position these young adults for leadership in the future in these areas. So they're going to be much more aggressive than we have been to date in producing a net zero world. You're going to hear from two of those young adults today, one who recently graduated and one who is still matriculating now. Now, I should also say that although Howard is only now, in 2023, establishing this environmentally focused department, all should know that Howard has contributed to the advancement of knowledge in these fields and has educated a lot of students as well. For instance, between 1975 and 1995, Howard produced a number of graduates with BS degrees in environmental science. And also for over 2 decades now, with the support of NOAA, Howard has maintained a very successful doctoral program in atmospheric science as well. And a third illustration as to the impact of Howard when it comes to the environmental space and climate space is to think about some of our alumni. First and foremost is one alum who over 40 years ago led a protest against the siting of a PCB toxic waste landfill in the Blackest County of North Carolina. This is an alum who also with the United Church of Christ, the Commission for Racial Justice, led the production of a landmark work known as Toxic Waste and Race, which ignited the environmental justice scholarship and activism as well. And that work also helped to lead me to do work in this particular field as well. That same alum, a few years after that, in 1991, while still leading the UCC's Commission for Racial Justice, went on to, to organize right here in Washington, D.C., again in 1991, the first National People of Color Environmental Leadership Summit. And that work led to not just more scholarship and more activism, but it began to also affect public policy with the President Clinton's signing of Executive Order 898, leading to the federal government and being obligated to identify and to address adverse health and environmental impacts of public policy on low-income communities and also in communities of color. For those who don't know, the alum that I'm referring to is the Reverend Dr. Ben Chavis. And on a day like today, when we're having this announcement, it's only fitting that he'll be here. So if he can stand and recognize. When it comes to environmental justice, environmental science, climate science, Howard University's fingerprints are all over that. And it is just that with President Frederick's encouragement and support, we're able to go on to establish a department which would enable Howard University's faculty and students to be much more innovative and also more transformational in their research and learning. So with that, please join me in welcoming to the podium the 17th President of Howard University, Dr. Wayne A. Frederick.
So, good afternoon. Happy to have the opportunity to join you here. First, let me start by thanking Dean Patterson, because one of the things that I've done when I became president was recognizing that we can't be all things to all people. And we spent a lot of time doing that through our history. And it's very tough when you've had the first, when you graduated the first female lawyer to pass the bar in DC, when you graduated the first person to become a chemistry chair or the first woman dean of a dental school, etc. It's very difficult to let go of those legacies. And we've spent some time really trying to right-size where we invest and so on. And one of the things that can certainly breed is a little bit of contempt about, why are we cutting everything versus growing things? And the reason we do that is because we can then make smart investments. And that's sometimes hard to rationalize. And a day like today is one of those days where we get to rationalize why we make those decisions so that we can invest in the right way. And one of the things that I think Dean Patterson has been very good about, and I certainly want to praise him for that, looking for these opportunities, looking for what is next, what's around the corner, why we should be participating and making sure that we're participating in a way that we can close disparities, especially around the important things that we must do, and that's an ongoing issue for us. So I first want to take the opportunity to congratulate Dean Patterson on his diligence around this and see this to fruition. So. And as he pointed out, our DNA is social justice, and social justice today takes place in many different forms. One of the things that we often see as we talk about civil rights, there's a very non-traditional fight that we have to fight today. We have clinical nutrition science students from our nursing and allied health school who are currently shopping with residents in Ward 7 and 8, where they have 2 full-service groceries for 170,000 people. The life expectancy for a black male in Ward 7 and 8 is 22 years less than a white woman in Ward 3. It's just about 3 miles that separates those 2 communities. But if that environment is not the right environment because of what's there, what's not there, those are the outcomes that we will get. And for too long, underserved communities throughout the world, not just here, but throughout the world, have certainly been impacted by that. I'm from the Caribbean, from Trinidad and Tobago. Trinidad and Tobago has a very unusual ecosystem, has a bird sanctuary that people come from all over the world to see. It has mud volcanoes that you can walk through. It has a natural occurring pitch lake. So many things that are wonders of the world, but also things that are also going by the wayside as the climate changes, as the temperature changes, as our seas change significantly, seas and oceans change significantly. So these are issues I think that we will be looking at for some time. What's going to differentiate us, having another department that focuses on climate is not the goal here. The goal here is to make sure that we differentiate ourselves by looking at the equity issues that certainly are going to continue to occur because different communities are impacted differently by some of these activities. I'll go to Brazil later this month to visit. We're looking at engaging with schools and universities in Brazil. We've been to Colombia with the same thing in mind, and one of the themes that is clear to me is that underserved communities are certainly marginalized around the world, and that's something that we have to address. So I certainly want to thank Ms. McIlwain, the Secretary of the Environment, for being here today. I want to thank you. I want to acknowledge our faculty. There are several faculty members here, and my mentor, Dr. Ford, used to say that prudence dictates that you shouldn't single any one person out. So I'm not going to do that. So what I'm going to do is ask all the faculty who are here if they can stand so that we can simply recognize them. Many of you have been at this for quite some time, so I appreciate your commitment. I appreciate the program leader's commitment and Dr. Bird. I know you'll hear from students and alums, Zion and Kennedy. I want to thank you both for your work on this. As the father of an 18-year-old son and a 16-year-old daughter, I certainly have concerns about what they will inhabit. I think the next generation is way more altruistic than we are, despite our cynicism about them. They are way more altruistic. I think they connect to other communities way better than we do. They have an empathy like no other, and for that I'm appreciative. So I know that this is going to be in the safe hands of the next generation. We are an institution in high demand, and I believe when we first started our program, we had just about 4 students who graduated, and then we were up to 45, and we have a goal of hitting 100 in 2026, 27. I'm not sure it's going to take that long. I've had a rough weekend from Friday to today. We had 32,000 applications to Howard University this cycle. When I started a decade ago, we had 9,000 applications. Our acceptance rate is now about a quarter of what it was when I started. So, needless to say, I've been on the phone with mayors and CEOs, all kinds of alarm explaining why. Some of them have been avoiding the calls. But it's been rough. But I mention that because the other thing that's amazing is that our Pell Grant percentage is not changing. So we have a few majors where the average GPA is 3.9 plus, and the average student in there is a student who's getting a major Pell Grant award. So the students are doing well. Our average GPA this far for the class that we accepted is 3.8. So I say that to say I wouldn't get into Howard right now if I applied. So I'm glad I'm not in the cycle. So the young people we're attracting are very, very smart. The other thing I want to leave you with. And they're also very conscientious about what's going on around them. So the other thing that we have to be thinking about is what do they want to hear about? What do they want to study? What do they want to impact? This is, as Dean Patterson said, it's a monumental day, but the work now begins. It's one thing to start. We have to continue to invest. We have to make sure that we're committed to the long-term success of a department like that. Sustainability is another issue that we're going to be looking at closely at the university because as our footprint expands, we have to look at that as well. When I started, we were just under 10,000 students. We're now at 13,000, and we're trying to cap how many students we have. But providing those services in an energy efficient and sustainable way is also another critical part of who we are and what we must do. So we also have a responsibility as well as an institution to be drawing on the expertise of the faculty and the students who are here to make sure that we're making the right decisions. And then the last thing I'll mention, since Dean Patterson underscored and Dr. Chivas' work, last night I was looking at 60 Minutes and I was fascinated listening to the story about the Webb telescope. And it just reminded me about the impact of our alum, and the fact that it was a Howard alum who saved that project from going under. And now look at what that project is going to open up our eyes to in terms of the universe around us. So there's a young person who's going to join this department, who's going to go on to do great things, hopefully win a Nobel Prize, hopefully solve some of the biggest problems that we have. But at the end of the day, they will be mentored and tutored by this faculty and supported by the staff. So I hope we all take that obligation to make the environment in the classroom and the academic rigor the best that it can be, because what the graduates of Harvard go on to do is untold, and that's something that we all have to be grateful for. So thanks again for coming out, and congratulations to all of you. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
So wonderful to see you all here. My name is Dr. Janelle Burke. I'm an associate professor at Howard University. I'm a plant evolutionary biologist, trained as a natural scientist, also the director of our environmental studies program. Since 2018, faculty and students have come together from engineering, from social sciences, natural sciences, law, fine arts, humanities, to introduce a proposal for new degree offerings at Howard University in environmental studies, environmental science, atmospheric science, and earth system science. And our proposal was to house these all within a department of earth, environment, and equity. And we're at a point in time to critically think about why here, why now, what should we call this, and how can we distinguish ourselves and also align with Howard's mission with these degree offerings. Our mission is to develop and foster advanced scientific knowledge of earth and environmental systems and their associated natural and human impacts, and also to promote environmental equity and community engagement, which lead to increased quality of life, societal resilience, and sustainability. The foundation of our department is inclusion and environmental equity in training and research, coupling rigorous scientific training of the environment with human impact, which is the future of science. We're also training future environmental and climate leaders with diverse training and skill sets. As the president mentioned, we started with a few students in our program. Currently, we are up to 65 majors and minors. When we opened the door to the new Department of Earth, Environment, and Equity in fall 2024, we were hoping to welcome even more students who will be cutting-edge scientists, social scientists, lawyers, sustainable fashion designers, who could be future leaders for sustainable, equitable, and environmentally conscious world. And with that, I'd like to welcome one of our recent grads, Mr. Zion Sears, who graduated from our environmental studies program.
I
was going to freestyle this, and then I realized it was probably a bad idea. As an intro, my Howard intro, which I haven't given in a couple years now, my name is Zion Sears. I was an environmental studies major, political science minor from Columbus, Ohio. I graduated in the winter of 2021. My graduating class, I think, was 3 environmental studies students. So happy to see that the program has grown to where it is today. And really thank you for the opportunity to talk to you all today. So for some background on me, I started off my Howard career as a civil engineering major. I quickly recognized that while STEM majors are the foundation and backbone of our 21st century society, that it was not my path, nor my portion. Frankly, I could barely pass Chem and Calculus 1. But my whole motivation behind going to school in DC and coming to Howard was based on a couple things. I saw that society had issues, whether it be physical infrastructure, roads, bridges, underinvestment, and communities that looked like mine, or societal infrastructure, education, healthcare, inequities that reverberated and rebounded throughout society. But I was desperately looking for ways not only to understand, why things are the way they are, but what could I or anyone else really do about it? It doesn't take a 4-year degree to understand that there are systemic problems in this world, specifically in this country. But I think before I came to Howard, I really only scratched the surface about why things are the way they are. I think through my Howard experience, and particularly through a lot of the professors actually in this room,
and through my experience at this school with my peers, I really understood or began to understand. And I think it really does take not only a four-year degree, but a Department of Earth, Environment, and Equity to learn, how exactly, why exactly. Black Americans are 75% more likely to live in a frontline community. So that's coal, oil, natural gas, toxic substance plants. Or why Black women have the highest death rate at the hands of asthma than any other group, 3 times that of white males. I think it takes a community like Howard, a department such as this, to understand that and to speak the truth plainly. So that our generation, which I appreciate you saying that we're altruistic, but I think, a lot of us understand the enormous responsibility we bear, in my opinion, to leave the world a better place than how we found it. I think this new department of Earth, Environment, and Equity is up to the task not only to speak the truth plainly, but with urgency, to understand that we have a lot of work to do. Empowered by fellow students, faculty, staff, this department knows they're shaping, strengthening, facilitating the greatness of a new generation, a new class of change makers, of people who say our status quo is unacceptable, who understand exactly why and how the system is working exactly how it's designed to. But I want to kind of connect, and I'm not going to go that long, but the idea of concept of the status quo to probably the most important thing that this new department will focus on, will do. Equity. It's a word that in many cases has been co-opted by corporate interests, bad actors, or people who have no interest in changing the status quo, in understanding or changing how those inequalities and how those systemic issues actually happen and are allowed to happen. Some just think equity means having a Black face in the boardroom or in the office, or a Black face in the team picture, or just saying the words will conjure it into existence. And I will admit that having a Black face or having a seat at the table is invaluable, right? But what does it mean if we're co-signing and enabling the systems that have systemically disadvantaged the poor, the marginalized, and the powerless? The question at hand being, that I propose to you, is how can we make systemic change when it feels like we're fighting against the way things always have been? And I think it's something I struggle with a lot. And I don't have an answer, or a single answer. I've had this debate with my Howard peers, in class, on the yard, in between my Environmental Studies 1 and Environmental Inequality classes, sometimes in the classes. Some of my professors are in the room today, so I'll hold on that. But the answers all have a really similar theme. Together, right? You and the people you learn with, study with, laugh with, argue with, whatever it is, the path to a better society, a better system, a better world will run through this room. This university, the key to a better world and lasting change lies in the hearts and minds, in the students and the faculty that will make up this new department. We know that this new department is not the beginning, and certainly not the end, of the ways in which Howard is going to change the world. I think this new department, the people in this room, the people at this university are special. And this new department is not only special, but necessary and really long overdue. And I really congratulate the people who made it happen. I thank them. Because I look forward to living in the better world that we're all gonna make. I look forward to passing on a better world to those that are gonna come after us. And just as we stand on the shoulders of giants, right, that made this university the way it is today, I know that this new department, this day, will mark the beginning of something great, another great legacy, and a new standard of excellence that Howard students will continue to exceed. Thank you.
Thank you, Zion. And it's my pleasure to introduce Ms. Kennedy Williams, a current environmental studies undergraduate student.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kennedy Williams, and I'm from Greenville, South Carolina. I'm currently in my third year here at Howard University, where I'm majoring in environmental studies with a minor in political science. After I receive my bachelor's degree, my goal is to work towards a master's in sustainability, specifically focusing on environmental policy. I have been fortunate enough to have participated in various opportunities through the university. Right now, I'm actually currently an intern for the environmental justice team for the Council on Environmental Quality at the White House. So my kind of interest in environmental studies first started in high school, where I gained valuable knowledge on the importance of climate change. But it wasn't until I became a Howard student where I not only discovered how climate change is disproportionately affecting Black communities, but also how privileged people in power are making a lot of the executive decisions against climate change. It was very empowering to know that many of my peers who looked like me shared the same concerns as I had, and being able to be in a safe educational space where we could collaborate on these issues was truly inspiring and something I will forever be grateful for. The creation of the Department of Earth, Environment, and Equity is a monumental step towards paving the way for Black students to have a voice in the fight against climate change. Being an environmental studies student has taught me ways in which I can make a valuable impact in protecting our planet. And with this new department housed within the College of Arts and Sciences, I really do hope that future students will have the opportunity to study and research and cultivate solutions on mitigating climate change. But more importantly, I really do hope that students will be able to understand the significance of protecting our communities and future generations. This is a huge achievement for Howard University, and I'm so happy I could be with you all to celebrate. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for that. You see the future is in good hands. I've been back now at Howard for amazing 9 years now. It was a long year. I've been away for 20 years. And sitting back here for 9 years. And in that time, I've had, feels like thousands of conversations with Provost Wuta. And I think all but 2 of them ended with me asking him, Provost, when can we start environmental study? And I'm glad that he didn't try to fire me if I didn't stop asking about environmental study. And I think I will never forget, I was coming down New Hampshire Avenue, answered the phone, the provost called me, and he said, okay, Dean, I see a way forward. Let's move on environmental studies. That was the happiest day that has been for the past 5 years, I would say, when they called for the provost. And I thank him for his support on this as well. And I invite up Provost Wuta.
Good afternoon. I had certainly more inquiries regarding when this department is starting from students and from faculty than any other program that we have moved on in my 8 years in this role as provost. And I don't say that because it troubled me. I say that because it really underscored how important this was to our students, how important this was to our faculty. And we had to address some administrative things that we were able to really move forward with. But Howard has been engaged in this work for decades, for generations. But having a department devoted to earth, environment, and equity really just speaks to how can we coalesce all of the faculty who are doing work, whether it's in biology or it's in atmospheric sciences or it's in climate, and create a home for them so that we can synergize and get the best thinking together to educate our students to do the research that is critical in an interdisciplinary way and to make an impact in a way that Howard needs to make an impact. So it really is my pleasure and my honor to have really been able to find an opportunity and a means to be able to bring this to fruition. And we're certainly looking forward to educating more students like Zion and like Kennedy and what they bring to the table. If you think about some of the things that have been in the news recently in terms of just the dramatic increase in weather, whether it be tornadoes or flooding, and how today it is 20 degrees higher than is normal, but the temperature is going to drop. We know that climate change is real, but we also know that our communities have been the most adversely impacted, and there are reasons why there are higher rates of cancer, higher rates of healthcare disparities in communities of color. It's not just related to the food that we eat. It's not just related to smoking. It's because that we live in communities that are oftentimes the most adversely impacted. So I'm certainly proud of the work that Dean Patterson and his team and the faculty have done, but I'm even more excited to see what we're going to be able to accomplish over the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years, and the great things that our students are going to be able to do to further this work. So thank you for being here. Congratulations. And students can keep emailing me and asking me when the degrees can start. Again, I think this is just exciting for the institution and for our students. Thank you.
And then lastly, I would just say that, so when I returned to Howard in 2014, to be the chair of the sociology and, at that time, sociology and anthropology department, I recall returning here, and I had my first meeting with the dean at the time, and learning my way around campus, and I asked him about letting him know that I had this interest around environmental studies, and I thought that a place like Howard, we should have an environmental studies program and department and the like. And I asked him, who should I speak with? And he mentioned only one person, and that was Dr. George Middendorf. George Middendorf, who is here now, who has been thank you, George. Dr. Middendorf was served on the faculty in the Department of Biology for many, many years. So I contacted Dr. Middendorf, and we were partners in crime for a lot of years, and we, along with Dr. Terry Adams, three of us and others organized a lot of faculty from various departments, as Dr. Burke mentioned. I feel like we were plotting a coup, in a sense. But we were really determined to make this happen. I'm just so thankful that the administration has been providing, I won't say fuel because we're talking about environment, but provided a lot of fuel in a way to make this happen very rapidly. So thanks to all the people coming out and being a part of this momentous event, and keep an eye on us to see the great things that are happening here in the Department of Earth, Environment, and Equity at Howard University.